right? Uh, I believe everybody knows how to find percentage, right? If I tell you to find percentage 20% of 90, right? Or if I tell you to find 30% of 60, everybody can find easily, right? One
Yes.
simple approach is, if I'll tell you, let's say I am telling you to find, let me take the black ink. Let's say I'm telling you to find 20%, right? 20% of 90. So very simple to find. How do I find out this one? Tell me. Uh,
20 by 90 into
that's
100.
that's all. That's all. 20 divided by 100 into 90. Correct? No. I'll get the answer. 18. One more approach is people use it, and this very efficient approach, that they find the 10% first. The 10% of 90 is nothing but 9. Correct? No. So how
Yes.
to find the 20%? Twice of 10%, then
Yes.
twice of 9. That is 18. Right? 10 finding 10% of any number is much more easier, isn't it? Right? So
Yes.
10% of any number is the number divided by 10. Basically, we just cancel 0 at the last, right? So, and then I can find out the multiples of 10% very easily, into 2 and into 2 here. Similarly, let's say I want to find out the 30% of 90. 3 times of 9, 27. 40% of 90, 36. 50% of 90, 45. 60% of 90, right? How much we'll get? 54, right? 80% of 90, 72. 90% of 90, 81. And the 100% 90 is 90, right? So finding the 10% and keeping at the back of our mind, and then find the remaining percent, I mean the multiples of 10%, that is much more effective. You can do it in the mind itself. That is possible. You can do it in the mind without using pen and paper. Okay. Now what is important here, everybody, for GRE and GMAT? Very important. That is one, the 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 formula what we use it, and the expression, that is percentage change, right, equals the difference divided by original value. You can make a note this one, value into 100, right? This is very very important to understand this expression, percentage change expression, right, equals difference divided by original value into 100. Let's look at the example. You understand? Let's say I have a number 28. I have a one more number, that is 20. If the question is find out percentage decrement, find out percentage decrement, tell me how do we do it? Decrement means where to where. If the question is find the percentage decrement, where to where, what is change? Decrement is here to here, correct? So how much you get the difference here? Difference is 8, right? And what is the original value? 28. Because decrement must happen from greater value to the lower value. Make sense what I'm talking about? So the what is the original value here? 28, right? Into 100. I'll get my the percentage change. How much we get here? Tell me. I can 4 twos are and by 7. Correct, no? 2 by 7, no? Yes or no?
Yes.
So 1 by 7, I know the percentage value. If you find out, you will get how much? 28 point something will get. Approximately you'll get 28%. Correct? So this is the
Yes.
one thing, this is the one expression that we must know before going for GRE paper, the GRE questions in this percentage. Right? Now I'll give you one more example. Also, just you will get clear idea about this. You will take one more example. This is the first example. Let's take one more example. Now let's say you have some number is 30. Now you got number something like, let's say 35. Correct? No. Now the question is find out the percentage increment. Correct? Now increment I need to find out. So increment from where to where? If I say increment from where to where? Lower to higher. So what is the original value here? 30. Correct? No. So the same. How much difference? 5. What is the original value? 30. And multiply into 100. That's all. So how much will get here? I'll get 1 by 6. 1 by 6 into 100. See, basically you should know 1 by 6 the percentage value. That is 16.66 percentage. Right? That is the one expression that you should keep in the mind. That is called percentage change. Right? It could be decrement, it could be increment. That depends. Right? So if it's an increment, keep in the mind the lower value will be the original value. If it's a decrement, higher value is the original value. Make sense, everybody? Now,
Yes, sir.
let's go ahead with the other slide, the other page. We will discuss about one more concept before diving into the question solving. Let's solve one more. Understand one more expression that is called percentage successive increment, right? And flat increment. Successive increment and flat increment. This is also very, very important. What is the meaning of successive increment? What is the meaning of flat increment? Let's take an example. So one simple example is, let's say I have some value x, initial value, correct? And I have some value here y after increment. Let's say increment is here. Just take an example, increment 20%, 30%, whatever, 50%, or let's say p%. Okay, that is the increment p%. So and again increment of q%, right? Increment of q%. I'll get some value z. Now this is the trivial example of percent successive increment. Why is that? The first increment of what value? Of x, right? Second q% increment of y, and that is example of successive increment. How do I find the value one by one? Let's understand, and we'll try to find out one simple expression to find the final value. Now, if I ask you, everybody, what is the original value here? What is the original
X.
value? Wonderful. That is
X.
x. That is the original value. What is the final value here?
Z.
Of course, z. Correct. Y is not final value. Z is the final value. Now, to find the y, can I say y equals x plus p% of x? Can I say that, everybody? If now if you can rearrange the expression once again, how much increment? p%. I am adding because it's increment. If it's decrement, you must subtract. So I am adding here because it's the increment. So x plus p% of x. And also keep in the mind, we increase or we decrease only of the original value. Keep in the mind always. If we increase, of what? Original value. If I decrease, of what? Original value. That you should keep in the mind this point. Now, can I take x common here? If I take x common, what will I get? Tell me. Will I get 1 plus p%? Correct? No? Correct? No? Yes or no? Done. Okay. This is the value of y. Now, how to get the value of z? Let's understand. How much increment again? Z. How much increment? Q% of what? Of y. Correct? No? So q% of y, how do I write? Can I say y plus q%, which means q divided by 100 into y. Correct? Can I take y common? If you take y common, how much will you get? 1 plus q by 100. Now, do I know y value? Of course I know. Can you plug in here? Plug in the y value from the previous expression. So from here, this is the y value now. So let's plug in here. What will I get? Get x into 1 plus p by 100. This value of y, and plug in the same value here. 1 plus q by 100. That is the final expressions required, everybody. When successive increment to find out the final value. So I just did this. I did this work just to make you understand the background work. This background work is not required in the exam hall, right? Just to make you understand, I just told all this background work, right? So you can write directly. You can write 1 plus p percent into 1 plus q percent into x. That's all. Correct? No. If the percentage increment is the same, it will become the square. Correct? 1 plus p divided by 100 whole square into x. If the percentage is the same. If it's not the same, I should not put it that way. Any doubt, any question? Now, what if I get one more increment percentage? Nothing. I'll just multiply the same thing, 1 plus r percent. That's all. 1 plus r percent. Directly I can write it directly. Now you look at this side. This is also very, very important. No, the meaning of flat increment. Flat increment means an increasing the same thing, right? Example, let's say I have some value x. I'm increasing here for p percent. I get the y. I'm again increasing some layer, let's say r percent. Correct? I'll get some value z. So to find the value of z, what is happening? Tell me here. The p percent of what? P percent of x. Right? So if I find the value of y, how do I get? Same thing. Can I say 1 plus p by 100 of what? Of x. How to get the value of z? Same. 1 plus r by 100 into x. Correct. That is a flat increment. Not into y. Correct. Not into y. Look at here. Which I said into y here, this side. Because it was a successive increment. But here the p percent of what? Initial value. That means the original value. R percent of what? Of the original value. That's all the difference. That's all difference. If decrement, minus. That's all. Put minus. 1 minus p percent. If increment, put plus. Now, I'll give you one example now. Look at this. One simple example to understand. Let's say given here x initial value or increment is given 10%. Okay. I get here y. Correct. So how to get the y value? Y equals, can I say 1 plus 10% into x? So can I say 1.1x directly? That's all required. 1.1 means how do I get 1.1? 1 plus 10% of x. So 1 plus means 1 plus 10% means what? 101. 1 plus 10%, 110, correct? 110 divided by 100, which means 1.1 of what? Of original value. Now let's say given this way, x increment 10%, I got y, again increment 30%. Let's say I'm getting z. How do I find the value of z directly? So z equal, I can say 1.1 first increment, the next increment 1.3 into x. That's all. Correct? No. Means 10% means what? 1 plus 10% because increment is given. Now again here 1 plus 30%, right? Into the original value. Into the original value. Same thing. Right? So now very simple example is the first example what I said. right? That is called compound interest, compounding, the same as compounding, right? What is here? Simple interest, simple interest. So what is difference here? In the compound interest, the interest will be the different every year, correct? No. And but in the simple interest, the interest will be the same every year. Why it's different in the first the successive interest? Because we find the next increment, next interest on the incremented value, but we do not do the same in the flat increment. In simple interest, we find the interest only of the initial value, always on the principal amount every year. In the flat increment, that is called simple interest. Or here what we get the interest increment every year, that is the called compound interest, that we will discuss later once again. I believe it's very simple to understand the meaning successive increment and the flat increment, right? Any questions you have, of course, uh, you can just go through once again, right? So you can ask the questions if you have. You have any
No, sir.
questions in the mind? No?
No, sir. No, sir.
Let's go for the next.
Sir, answer is 4.
Okay, let's understand this. A merchant makes a $10 profit on a jacket that the merchant sells for $30, which means, can I say, the final value is 30? Make sense? Final value is 30. What is the profit we have? $10, which means what is the cost price? 20. Correct? That's all.
Okay, okay, okay.
Correct?
Finally.
So the cost price is here 20. The question is, what is the merchant's cost price as a percent of the jacket selling price? Right? The cost, what is the merchant's cost price as a percent of the jacket selling price? So it means 20 is, question is 20 is what percent of final value selling price? Correct. 20 is equals x percent of what? Final value, that is 30. That's all. Find the value of x. That is the percentage. Can I say x equals 20 into 100 divided by 30? Correct, no? How much you'll get?
Yes.
66.66 percentage. But be careful in the GRE, right? In the GRE, what happens, everybody, is given the condition is given. Nearest whole number. Tell me, if you put 66.66 in this box, the system will take a wrong answer, right? So nearest whole number, what should be? I can say 67%.
7.
Correct. So my answer is 67%. Make sense? That is very, very simple, because final value is given, selling price is given $30, and the profit is given 10. So I told you the profit we always add to the original price. What is the original price here? Cost price. So which means the cost price must be a 20. Now the question is, the cost price is as what percent of the jacket selling price? That's why I wrote in a statement, just to make you just to make you understand. 20 is what percent of SP, and which means 20 is what percent of 30, right? And we get the answer. And just you rearrange the expression and get the value of x, and that's your answer. Yeah. Any question? Any question?
No, sir. No, sir.
Shall we go for the next? Let's do it. Let's solve this question. A dress that originally sold for rupees a dollar 120 now sells for 96. The price is what percent less than the original price? What is the original price here? What is the original price here? The original price, can I say $120? This is the original price, $120. And what is the new price? $96. The question is, the new price is what percent less than the original price, which means the question is find out the percentage decrement. Correct? No? That's all. Look at the question. Question is what percent less than the original price, which means the new price is lesser than original price by what percent? Which means percentage change in terms of decrement. So what is the difference I'll get? Tell me. 24. Super. And what is the original value here? 120. Decrement. Remember decrement? The higher value will be the original value. Right? So look at the arrow, downwards arrow. This is the decrement. This is the original value, no? Which means the higher value. Just keep in the mind. Just to remember visually. The higher value is decreasing. So higher is the original value. So in 200, that's all, which is 1 by 5, that is 20%. 20% increment. Option is there. What is option
Yes.
number? Option number C. Now, remember, I always tell in the class while taking the sessions for GRE, even for the GMAT, even for SAT, right? There is a one clue that you must understand in the GRE question paper and GMAT question paper. So what is the clue? The clue is the options. Very, very interesting. I told you always the options will be given in the increasing order. I told you, no? For the GMAT and GRE, options will be given in increasing order. So you might have observed carefully, right? Choosing the right option is not difficult task. Even let's say I want to guess it. In the situation where I'm running out of time, I stuck in the question. Let's say I got this question. I'm giving one simple scenario. I got this question in the exam hall, and I do not have much time. I have only 10 seconds, right? And 10 seconds I have a time. I may not solve it. I will just guess it. How do I guess it? Very simple. The choices will, you should eliminate those choices which are very far from the remaining choices. Can you tell me in this question which choice is very far from each other, not nearest to each other? Which choices? Can I say 33? Can I say here 8? Correct. Can I say here 12 also? So what is nearest here? 20% and 24%. Now you may say, sir, why not 8% and 12%? Possible. Why not possible? But just I'm giving you the clue. Don't use this technique all the time. Remember, there is a risk is there, right? So whenever the 2 and 3 options are nearest to each other, very close to each other, high chance your answer falls in those choices. Always. Let's look at let's also practice this trend, this kind of no the approach where you get the answer or not. But don't try this approach always, because we have a risk of 50%, right? If you know how to solve it, you solve it. If you are running out of time, if you are stuck in the question, then use the technique what we discussed, that is a process of elimination. We can eliminate one by one. Okay. Oh, that makes sense, everybody. So let's solve this question. And this is again the GRE special question, this kind of question they ask. And I believe everybody knows that if we have the option starts with the rectangular, right, rectangle, then what should we do, right? Which means if the option starts with rectangle means what? If the right multiple correct answer means at least one correct answer. At least one means what? It could be more than one correct answer. Now the question is, which of the following statements are equivalent to the percentage increase from 3 to 4? Let's first find out from 3 to 4 what is the increment is there. So 3 to 4, if I find the increment, very very simple. So how much we have, the what is the difference? Difference is 1. What is the original value? That is 3. Wonderful. Divide by 100. How much you'll get? 33.33 percentage. Good one. So now here, if you look at here, the percent decrease from 4 to 3. Let's go for the first one. Decrement from 4 to 3. So this is my target. Keep in the mind. What is my target? 33.33 percentage. So 4 to 3 decrement. So how much you get the difference here? Difference is 1. Original value is 4 into 100. I'll get 25%. Right? And look at the 4. Of course, this is not my answer. This is not my answer. Look at the second one. The percent decrease from 12 to 8. 12 to 8. What is the difference here? Difference is 4. What is the original value? 12 into 100. So will I get 33.33 percentage? Make sense? Make sense? My target is there. My target is there. Now look at here. The percentage increase from 6 to 8. So we have a 6 here, we have a 8 here, right? So 6 to 8, how much? What is difference? 2. Divide by 8. Divide by 6, no? Into 100. Which means again 1 by 3. 1 by 3 means what? 33.33 percentage. But there is a one question here for you. Questions given, statements are equivalent to the percentage increase from 3 to 4. So shall I take the both options B and C or only C? B and C. What about Manasve? Should we take both or we should take only one?
Both, because maybe 6 is the multiple of, 12 is the multiple of 6.
No, it's not like that. The question is talking about just the increment percentage. Look at the percentage value. What is the increment? In the question, that is 33.33 percentage. So my target is that the same, right? So my answer must be B and C both.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now you tell me, what are the application of percentage? Can I say the first application is the profit, correct? Profit or loss? Yes or no?
Yes.
Second application is very very simple, that is discount. Third application is simple interest, then compound interest. These are the mainly application of percentage from where you will find the questions in GRE paper, right? Especially you will not get more questions this simple interest and compound interest, but you will find the questions from the profit or loss, or you will find the questions in terms of successive increment, right? The same thing, no? I just told you that is successive increment. What about the simple interest? That is called flat increment. Correct, correct. And what is a, say, profit and loss is nothing but the increment and decrement, isn't it? Profit means what? Increment. Loss means what? Decrement. So initial value or original value, which means the cost price. Makes sense? The final value means what? That is the SP, selling price. And we know that the profit percentage or the loss percentage we always find on what? On CP. That's all, keep in the mind. Exactly the same thing what we have done in the percentage increment or decrement. And I have explained completely. The increment we find of the initial value, which means the original value, which means in this context is the cost price. And decrement we find of the initial value, which means in this context is the cost price, means the loss percentage of the cost price, profit percentage of the cost price. Very very simple. Let's try to understand the questions also based on this one. Okay, this is the one simple question. Let's understand. I'll try one or two. Of course, I'll give you the question. I'll give you the homework. The question reads as a cricket bat was sold at a profit of 20%. Correct. What is the selling price of a cricket bat if the cost price is 180? Now you tell me, sold at how much? 20%. Correct. So do I know the cost price initial value? How much initial value here? 180. 180 is the initial value, right? And what is the increment? 20% increment. Make sense, everybody?
Yes,
What is the increment? 20% increment, right? Now I need to find out the selling price, which means the final value. Yes or no? And we know how to solve it. I told you the same example. Remember the multiplying factor concept? So to find out the selling price, the final value, so how much increment here? 20%. So can I say selling price must be 1.2? 1.2 times of what? Of the cost price, which means the original value. That's all. My answer. Why 1.2? Remember the background work. 1 plus 20%. Correct? No. Of what? Of the initial value 180. The same thing, which I'll get 1.2. 1.2 of 180. So what should be the answer? What should be the answer?
216.
Yes, that's all. 216 is my answer. Correct. No, this is the example of profit. This is the example of, you can say, the flat increment. This is there is no any successive increment, right? As a flat increment example. Let's try this question also. I want to explain this question. So the many beginners do not understand this kind of question. That's why I have taken a simple question to make you understand a small trick to get the answer. We will try to solve this question in two ways. One way is the methodical approach. The other way we'll use the trick. Let's look at this. The question reads as, if you see, Tanya sold a pen for rupees 120, means I have a final value, selling price, and earn a profit of 20%. I have an increment of 20%. What, and we know increment we find of what? Of the cost price, always, the original value. What is the cost price of the pen? That's all. So original value I do not know. I know increment is given 20% increment. I have the final value 120. Correct, no?
yes,
That's all. Okay, I can use the methodical approach, multiplying factor concept. I told you how many times? 1.2 times. Correct, no? Increment. 1.2 times of what? Of the initial value x equals 120. So x must be 120 divided by 1.2. How much will get? Will I get 100? Correct, no? My answer is 100. Make sense? Now, there is one small trick. If you understand trick, then I can go ahead with other example. See, the trick says that if you are, I'm just taking a red, green color. The wonderful trick for this kind of question, if I'm increasing by some fraction, let's say I'm increasing by x upon y, right? While coming back, I had to decrease it, no? Let's say I'm increasing from x to 120 by 20%, right? I'm coming here to here by, what is the increment? 20%. I must decrease it back, right? To go back, let's say 120, I want to make it x again, which means if increment is given, I should decrease it. So I must decrease it by, the trick says that y plus x. Always, always. Right? Let's look at this example here. How much increment in terms of fraction? 20%, no? 20%, how much increment then? The x to 120 is increment. How much increment? Increment here is 20%, which means 1 by 5. 20%, 20 by 100, which means 1 by 5. I must decrease it back. I want to get the value of x, no? So I must decrease it back. How much? I should decrease it back 1 by 5 plus 1, which means I must decrease it by 1 by 6. 1 by 6 of what? 1 by 6 of original value. While decreasing, what is my original value? 120. While increasing, what was my original value? X. Right? So decreasing 1 by 6. So 1 by 6 of 120. How much I am decreasing here, everybody? 20 rupees. Right? So minus 20. So 120 minus 20, I'll get my answer. That is x equals 100. Understood? So this is the one special properties and the expressions very very important to understand, and this helps a lot. This is called CPR. CPR means the constant product ratio. Constant product ratio. I'll explain later in the chapter when we discuss about this. So what happens in CPR? What happens here? If I'm increasing by something, let's say I'm increasing by any number, I'm increasing any number by 2 by 5, I must decrease it back by what fraction? 2 by 5 plus 2, right? If I am increasing a number by 3 by 5, I must decrease it back by the same, I must decrease it back to get the same number by 3 upon 5 plus 3. Make sense? So while increasing, the lower value will be the higher value. Make sense? While decreasing, see, lower value will be the original value while increasing. While decreasing, of course, the higher value is the original value. So in this question, while increasing, x is the original value. While decreasing, 120 is the original value. So that's why I wrote it here. I told you always increment and decrement should always be calculated of the original value. So 1 by 6 decrement, because increment is given 1 by 5, decrement must be 1 by 6 of what? Of the original value 120. So 20 rupees decrement. So subtract 120 20 rupees out of 120, I'll get my answer back, that is 100 rupees. Right? I hope that makes very very simple and you understand well this concept. We will, and we can solve many more questions using this concept. We will see further the other questions. Here, the question reads as, your girlfriend sold 20 pens at the cost price of 25 pence. Why girlfriend only? It could be slash boyfriend, no? The question is, I mean, is not, is partial. You again, doesn't it? Also, I can say boyfriend. Okay, sold 20 pence at the cost price of 25 pence. Simple, right? And does she get, or does she or he get profit or loss, and by what percent? For sure is a profit, correct? No? So option number A and B we can eliminate, because I am selling 20 pence at the cost price of 25 pence. Correct? No. Correct. No. So opposite is the profit. Now, how do I solve it? But remember, we have also D option. This is very important to understand how to solve it. So can I write in the simplest way? If you see on the screen, I need your concentration completely on the screen, everyone. So 20 SP, can you say 20 SP? SP means what? Selling price must be equal to 25 CP. Any doubt? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Super.
Yes.
Now can I say here 20 now let's, can I say SP equals 25 divided by 20 CP? Yes or no?
Hmm.
What is SP? Final value. What is CP? Initial value. Correct. So can I, how much we'll get here? We'll get 1 point, how much? 1 point, tell me. 25. Superb. 1.25 of what? 1.25 times of CP equals the final value. So when do I get 1.25 times? When the profit is 25%. Remember, you forgot. Just reverse order, right? The question. If the profit is 25% on the cost price, how to find the SP? Same thing, no? 1.2, 1 plus 25%. You forgot. 1.1 plus 25%, which means 1.25 of the cost price CP. My answer is correct. This is the one approach. What is the other approach? Let's also, I'll tell you one more approach, simple approach here. Is given 20 SP equals 25 CP, right? Let's find the ratio. So can I say SP divided by CP? How much we get? 25 by 20. I got this ratio. Can I say the ratio is 5 5s and 5 4s? Correct? 5 by 4 ratio. Right? How much SP? 5 parts. What is CP? 4 parts. So how much increment? How many parts increment? 1 part increment from CP to SP, which means from the original to the final. How much increment? What is difference? 1. What is the original? 4 into 100. Correct? No, that is 25%. 25%, that is the increment, because SP is more, which means the final value is more than the initial value. How much? How many more? That is 1 point. Okay, so 1 part is more than the initial part, right? So 1 by 4 into 100, I'll get the answer. That's why my answer is option number C. Super.